Standing up in McKinney. This is, according to Callus, it is Monday, the 10th of February, the year of our Lord 2025. And today we're just going to talk about the madness. It's a Monday Madness show today. Why? Well, because it's maddening watching what's going on. And what's even more maddening is watching the people freaking out, for most of them for no good reason. All right, before we get into that, before we jump into the episode du jour, let me remind you what I need from you. Like, share, subscribe to this program. Follow me on the social media. Drop over at the Facebook page, the website, whatever suits your needs at accordingtocallus.com. Hey, you can find me there with a page and a group on Facebook. I'm a pro at Gab. I drop in at MeWe. Occasionally, I'll even look at Twitter. And hey, for now, you can still find the program on YouTube. As a reminder, because apparently there's some folks out there, a local guy no less, that was apparently disappointed that I was uninformed on the issue of school choice. Let me remind you one more time. Every show is based off of my understanding or my thoughts on a particular issue or subject, program, whatever. And it doesn't mean I can't get it wrong. But if you're going to call me out for being wrong, which you should, and I encourage you to do so, you probably ought to give some examples or point me in the right direction. Just saying you're uninformed, well, that's like me saying that leftist progressive is a moron. While it might be true, it doesn't help them. It doesn't change anything. That being said, I stand by pretty much everything I said in that episode, and we will revisit a couple items from that today, I'm sure. All right. Oh, yeah. Podcatcher of your choice. I'm on iTunes. I'm on the Google Play Store, Stitcher, Spotify, and my host Podbean, which for whatever reason I just cannot find a suitable replacement for. And they have been a whole lot of not a hope and help on this situation. And we have been throttled. We have been shadow banned. Not a doubt in my mind. But that being said, we are going to continue to do what we do, which is me showing up, spilling the beans, telling you what I can tell you, trying to help you out, and you guys taking action. Picking up what I'm putting down, and hopefully, as always, you're double checking everything I say as well as anything else you read and hear. Because just because you like me doesn't mean I'm right, and just because you like somebody else on the media streams or on a podcast or a blog doesn't mean they're right either. I mean, we finally all come to grips with the mainstream media. Mainstream media is a fossilized dinosaur that refuses to die. I wonder how much money they got from USA Aid, but that's a different story. There are so many things that are fraudulent, and then there are people that just get things wrong. And you're going to have to decide which is which and how this works. So join me along for the ride. Without further ado, here we go. All right. Local news. Now, as you know, I live in the city of McKinney. The city of McKinney is led by a mayor and 6 other members of the city council. Now, unfortunately, on the vast majority of things, there is little to no pushback, questioning, or original thoughts on our city council. That doesn't mean that I don't have a couple of those city council members that are good guys that I could talk to, or that I have other people talk to on my behalf, and that they actually have differing opinions and different ideas. It's just that it appears to me most of the time they go along to get along. Now, it could be that there's a generalized idea of where they want the city to go and what they want the city to achieve on our behalf. And that as long as they stay on that track, everybody's largely lined up in an agreement on that. It could be that's the case. It could be that's the case. Or it could be that there is a organization within our midst that is manipulating events to get us the outcome that they have already foredrawn and for known is going to be ultimately the outcome here in McKinney. Well, without going down that the rabbit trail there, the rabbit hole, right? Let's just say I am confident, if you will, that no matter what happens, the city of McKinney is going to go on. It is my hope that we get some fresh blood in there this time around, that we get some new ideas, that we have, let's say, just a different way of looking at things. Now, it may turn out, in fact, that there is a legitimate benefit to the city owning the majority of the airport build out. It may turn out that the concert venue, which I want to back up just a second here. I originally was on board with this venue situation. It was something unique, something different, and then I got more details on it. But it could still turn out to be a nice thing for the city of McKinney. So I don't want to dismiss it entirely. I just think, once again, we gave away way more than we needed to do. And then apparently Globe Life is going to move into the former headquarters at Independent Bank, which is no longer independent. However, you and I, we shouldered the burden of building them their new headquarters. I don't even think they got their full money back out of that situation. But it's interesting to see how these things play out, right? The names change, the characters stay much the same. And again, it's a nice office building. We're lucky and blessed to have yet another large corporation that wants to stay in McKinney. And I don't want to ruin that for anybody. But I guess I would like to know, what did we give away this time? And it never really turns out to be that our city leaders have that much skin in the game, but they're more than willing to put our skin in the game, put our funds in the game, whether it's the EDC, the MEDC, which is the McKinney Economic Development Corporation, or the CDC, which is the McKinney Community Development Corporation. They seem to have a lot of flexibility on how they come up with using our money. Now, again, giving the benefit of the doubt, being gracious, they may indeed believe this is a good deal, that this is going to pay a net, positive to the city of McKinney. The jury's still out, but they could be right. So again, we want to be careful not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are legitimate things in play here that could be long-term beneficial. But I am skeptical. And I really wish we could have somebody or some organization asking these questions and putting out the information publicly. Not, we have a biased report coming from a third-party vendor that gets paid by the city to put out information that is beneficial to the city, but some kind of audit, some kind of investigation. And if they find that, hey, this is what the facts are, this is what we expect to happen, I'm good with that. But it seems to be the case that we can't really ever make that happen. But it is my sincere hope that the new mayor, the new city council member, whomever they may be, will at least be open to the idea of being a lot more transparent on what's going on and what the proposed investments are versus the potential payout. I mean, I have no doubt that, the Van Tiles are going to do just fine. I have no doubt that Craig International is going to do just fine. I have no doubt that Franklin is going to do just fine. I have no doubt that George is going to do just fine. And again, I don't begrudge them because they have invested their time, their money, their efforts, but they've also been using our money to put forward their efforts. So if they get their little something, fine, as long as the city actually benefits. And that's what I'm doubtful of, because you can't get a true understanding of what's going on. And that's just my opinion on the matter. And to be clear, I am not accusing anybody of doing anything illegal. Maybe unethical, maybe gray, maybe shady, but nothing illegal. Why? Because they're smarter than that. They wouldn't be that blatant in breaking the law and violating, the city charter and all that stuff. I don't believe that. Now, if somebody can prove me wrong, hey, have at it. I'm just not willing to take that step, and I'm certainly not going to make that accusation live on my podcast. All right, enough on the city. And just in case you're wondering, Frisco's going to take more money from the taxpayers. Same thing with Allen, Plano. All the cities, they want their cut. They want to do whatever they think is next. I want to assure everybody that the grass is not always greener. If you're not going to stand firm and put down your foot and be involved in your own back door, right? Or out your own back door, in your own backyard, for the city that you live in and the city that you care for and the school district that your children go to or your grandchildren, I don't have a lot of faith that you're going to be able to follow along on the other things that I'm going to touch base on. But here we go. On with the program, right? All right. The state fiesta, right? So, again, we're just going to recap. The Texas House hasn't saw fit to do much of anything other than honor Beyonce. Be interesting to see if they put in a full week's work in this next month. But honestly, I'm almost at the point where, as much as I would like to have full-time Texas House reps, I appreciate the part-time representation in Austin, I'm almost to the point where maybe I don't want them there at all. Maybe it'd be better for Texas if the Texas House just didn't meet. I mean, think about the amount of damage they cause every time they get together. I mean, they say they do the right things. They say they move the needle right. They say they're conservative. They say they're good Republicans. But that's very rarely what we actually see coming out. Now, that being said, they do achieve a lot of quote-unquote mainstream things, right of center things, which, I mean, honestly, that's a kind of the bare minimum. So, I mean, as far as being hopeful that we're going to get anything significant coming out of the House, yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath. That being said, the Texas Senate, we have a lot of good stalwart people in there that do a lot of good work. And one of the bills they put forth is this school choice stuff. Now, I'm not sure what else they've put forward. And quite frankly, at this point, I don't even care. I look at the school choice bill and I can't help but think to myself, one, this violates the platform. Two, this violates the spirit of the platform. And three, it's kind of a slap in the face. The whole reason why people put their children into private schools is to get government out of their lives in that regard of their education. So if you're going to take government money, you're going to get government. And for the purpose of this discussion, I don't really care about the funding. I don't really care about the Teachers Retirement Fund or TRS. Teachers Retirement System. And again, it's not that I don't care, period. It's just for the purposes of this discussion, this episode, that's not relevant to what we're talking about. We're talking about a scheme whereupon you went to the trouble of pulling your children out of the government school districts, the government school system, and because you choose to take some money back from them, they reinsert themselves fully back into your life. Don't fall for it. And God help you if you're a homeschooler and you think you're going to get some of that money back without a whole lot of government intrusion. Now, look, they always say it's optional. Just like you can keep your doctor, right? It's always optional until it's not. Well, we're just going to give you a little government until it's all. I don't understand why conservatives always fall for the same thing over and over again. Just say no. The best thing that could ever happen is, one, the bill gets killed in its entirety. Two, the bill gets stripped out to the bare minimum. Hey, if you've got a child, you can put your child in any school district that will take them. Hey, if you've got a child and you don't want your child going to government schools, guess what? You can go to any private school that you want. And because you've done that, because you're not actually putting your kid into a government school, government's going to say, not take as much money from you. None of this voucher scheme, none of this nonsense about a rebate or anything. No. We know who you are. We know where you live. If you don't have children in the school district, now keep in mind this includes grandparents, single people without children, and people that are too young to have children. Anybody and everybody that owns property, lives in the property, shouldn't have to pay the full boat if they don't have any children in that school district. You're just going to get a discount. Oh, you have no kids in the district? Okay. Well, instead of taking, and again, I'm going to make up a number, $5,000 from your property taxes, we're only going to take $4,000. So you save 20% off the top, right? Real simple. Mr. Governor, I own this property. I don't actually utilize the school district. I'd like my discount. None of this voucher nonsense, none of this approval, none of this, oh, we're going to check your school, we're going to check your teaching credentials. None of this. No, it's just a simple discount. I'm not currently utilizing the school district. I get 20% off the top. Seems very simple. I mean, and that's why they're not going to do it, mind you. Keep in mind, this is the very same state government that kept us locked down more than we needed to be. This very same Texas state government that kept a crisis on far longer than it needed to be. And ostensibly it's so they could cash in that sweet, sweet federal money. But at what cost? I mean, who really benefited from that? Because I don't think it was me. Pretty sure it wasn't you. So Texas Senate, I know Lieutenant Dan, he really likes being given the thumbs up from the Donald. Yeah, but the bill sucks. Sorry, it just does. I appreciate the effort. I appreciate the notion. And I'm with you there in spirit until you added more government. Republicans, conservatives, Christians, they all say they want less government. They want less government interference. They say that we want to shrink government. We want to be smarter. Well, I'm going to say that's all well and good, but that's not what you're delivering. It's a huge disappointment if you want the real truth from me. Not excited. And I expect to see a lot more of the same. Once again, this is, we're going to put a nice title on it telling you that it's school choice, but it really isn't school choice. Just like we put out quote unquote constitutional carry, but it's really not constitutional carry. And yes, folks, I'm not going to let that one go. And I expect that we'll see no gun bills passed because, believe it or not, the general public in Texas thinks that we, in fact, do have constitutional carry, when, in fact, we clearly do not. Now, it's great. It's better than what it was, and I'm not going to hate on the people that got us this far, but don't stop. See, that's why the left wins. They never stop. You give them something to shut them up, and then they double down and they triple down and they crank it up to 11, and then you guys just cave on the next thing again. Can we not find somebody with some stones and get some stuff done in Texas to, quite frankly, make it a hostile territory for leftist progressives, socialists, so that those leftist progressive socialists will go to California, or they'll go to New York, or they'll go to Illinois, somewhere other than Texas? Can we not make people in Austin feel like they're ostracized for being in Austin? Yeah, we didn't mind it when it was weird, when it was just this kind of little euphemistic thing for college kids doing college stupid things. But now we're actively encouraging more weirdness, more socialism, more leftism, more progressivism. I'm not sold on that idea, folks. Maybe, just maybe, we shouldn't have the state capital that also has a major college campus. Just saying. All right, now to the big kahuna. If you're going to talk about government, you have to talk about the feds, because the feds are involved in everything and anything. No matter how hard you try, you just cannot get away from the feds. You want to know why all those apartment complexes are getting built up? Oh, that's right, money from the feds. Oh, you're curious, where are they getting the money? Oh, they took it from us in the first place, and now they're incentivizing high-density homes, for the future and all. They want to wreck the suburbs for what they are because, quite frankly, you don't deserve the suburbs, dear citizen. No, everybody should be lumped together. I'm sorry. Part of working and being successful is to go and live where you want and how you want, and not have government dictating how your city looks and how things lay out. it should be no surprise to anybody that, yeah, that's what they do. I mean, look, you can love Trump. You can hate Trump. You can think the Doge thing is the worst thing that ever came about. But how else would we know about the giant scam that was USAID? Now, I have no doubt that in Kennedy's time, there were legitimate things that were funded by USAID. And we were, quote unquote, doing good things for other people in the other parts of the world that just didn't have it as nice as we did. And over the course of, 70 years now? Not quite. Let's go with 60 years. Over the course of 60 years now, we've hollowed out much of what made America America. We've imported people here that, quite frankly, hate America. And we've done it all with our money, with the taxpayer funds. We've both exported anything that was positive, allegedly, and imported a whole lot of negative. Now, does that mean everything all the time was terrible? No. Does that mean we did nothing good with that money? No. But explain to me, if you would, how is it that, you can just go set up a charity and you get millions of dollars from U.S. taxpayers, and then you just happen to pocket some of those millions of dollars, and that's A-okay. You've done nothing wrong there. You see, you played by the game. You followed the rules. Never mind that it's all a big scam. And then the very same individuals seemingly found buckets of money to pay the very leftist organs that were formerly newspapers to bury us and attack us and ruin what was, quote unquote, the American way. Now, look, I am not naive and I am not stupid when it comes to the many, many failures, faults, and shortcomings of we the people, of the American society. But I'm going to argue with you to the day I die that, at least in theory and in practice, we are better than anywhere else in the world. We just are. Because we care about those that, quite frankly, need our help. Because we put effort into looking out for people. We at least try to enshrine the notion that the rule of law is held equal across the board. Now, we always see that it's abused and ignored and, quite frankly, upended in many, many ways by many, many people. But none of us like that. None of us are in approval of that. None of us here at the ground level are okay with that. Now, whether you love Bill Clinton and his family or you hate Bill Clinton and his family, I don't think any one of us can reasonably say, well, the Clinton family should have gotten millions of dollars from taxpayer funds for an alleged charity that they ran. I don't think anybody's on board with that. I don't even think the most diehard socialist, leftist, progressive is actually good with the idea that the Clinton family got millions and millions of dollars off of charity work, and they just happen to keep a huge chunk of it. I mean, these same folks freak out because large corporations that have franchise operations only pay their workers the minimum wage or the least amount of money they can to get them to work, and then pocket hundreds of millions of dollars, potentially. Well, that may be true. Every business tries to pay their employees as little as they can get away with. That's just the market. Whether you like it or not, that's kind of the way it is. And every company also, or I should say, every employee also tries to get as much as they possibly can, yours truly included. Somewhere in between we meet, and both sides are willing to live with it. Now, when you establish a minimum wage, when you set something up like that for low-end, entry-level work, where perhaps in today's day and age, $10 an hour would be appropriate. We'll just say that for argument's sake, right? $10 an hour is an appropriate wage for an entry-level job doing whatever. But if you're forced to pay out $15 an hour, you fix that one of two ways. You have less employees, less hours for that employee, or you outsource it to a machine, or you find a more efficient way to do the work. Ultimately, the very people that you're allegedly trying to help lose. And better yet, they're not the only one that loses, because now they're going to go get benefits or tax money that we all pay for. And everybody pays taxes There's no such thing as a fair share. It's everybody pays something. And when you play games with how the taxes are collected, that's where the rich people, they excel at that. They pay for top drawer explanations of how they can pay as little as possible. So once again, this is an easy fix. Forget the flat tax. Forget, forget charging people based upon the amount of money they make. Just put a head tax on. Oh, you live in the United States? Oh, you're a citizen of the United States. Well, we're going to charge you $100 a month. $500 a month. Make a number up. I don't care. And the punishment for not paying it? Yeah, you don't get to vote. Yeah, you have no say in how the government works because you're not paying in. Now, what gets interesting here is, if I were an enterprising guy and I had, 1,000 people that worked for my company, just spitballing here, I'm going to tell them I'm going to pay you enough to where you can pay your head tax because I want you all to vote in this local election. Tell me that stuff doesn't already happen. It's just maybe not as straightforward as that, right? I mean, there is no such thing as a perfect world. I mean, taxation is just legalized theft. Let's be honest. And we quote unquote accept that because we live in a civilized society. Do we? I mean, we have people screaming about quote unquote free markets that don't give a what about the free markets. They live under this illusion that you can somehow extract a whole bunch of money to a whole bunch of people that don't actually do anything other than manual labor. Now, again, be careful about this, Stephen. You're not putting down people that do manual labor jobs. No, because I've been there, done that. My first job was cleaning toilets, working as a cashier. I've done pretty much every low-level job that you could have done when I was younger. So tons of respect for people that do those jobs. But what I don't expect is you're 45 years old and you're still doing that kind of job. Now, you may choose to do that because you own your own business or you're running a store and you're short people. There's so many reasons why you might be doing that. But that should not be the primary focus of your life when you're 40 years old, that you're playing a cashier's role. It might be part of the bigger scheme, yes, but everybody's supposed to be able to move up. Now, granted, there's challenges in accomplishing that in today's day and age as well. Again, all of this, everything I've just talked about is greatly affected by the U.S. government, the FedGov, putting their thumb on the scales and interfering with the market. You wondered how I was going to tie that back, didn't you? Everything that the federal government does, especially when they say they're fixing a problem, does nothing but make other things worse. And if it doesn't make that specific problem worse, it creates 2 or 3 other problems, which conveniently it then has a solution for those as well. It never is a solution. So for me personally, setting aside whatever philosophical differences I might have with Mr. Musk or Mr. Trump for that matter, I love seeing what's playing out. Every one of these government agencies should be audited and reviewed, and they should just shut the stuff down. If you can't justify what you're doing here, you're done. Do you actually do a job here? You're out. Now, look, I know there's a lot of people that have government jobs. They're going to be out of work. They could go do something productive. Because keep in mind, every government employee actually costs you money. Those of us who have non-government jobs, they cost us money. Now, look, there are a lot of people that have government jobs that do legitimate work or have a legitimate role that they're supposed to fulfill, and they earn their money completely. But let me ask you something. Do you really think you're getting your money's worth out of the 7,000 ATF agents? Do you really think you're getting your money's worth out of 70,000 IRS agents? Do you really think you're getting your money out of, the Bureau of Land Management, how many ever employees they have? I'm not saying that at one point there maybe wasn't something that they were doing that was worthwhile, but what I'm suggesting is they get way too much money with very little oversight, and they just do whatever the heck they want, and nobody really knows what and why. but all that money just gets flushed on through there. I mean, look, it doesn't seem like much of a stretch that U.S. aid was just an adjunct to the CIA. I mean, it's not like this is an original thought. It's not like I just came up with this on my own. I've seen it and heard it at least a half a dozen times since last week. So for those of you weeping over the U.S. aid office shutting down, consider, how do you feel about the CIA? How do you feel about color revolutions? How do you feel about us interfering in everybody else's governments? Because that's essentially what USAID was doing, right? Buying our allies. Is it really an ally if you have to pay them? I mean, who are the two biggest recipients of USAID? Oh, I'm sorry, that's probably not the proper way to say it. Which two foreign countries receive the most amount of money from the American public? I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say number one's Israel and number two's Egypt. Now, I might be wrong and Egypt's no longer number two. And if we're going to throw out a top five, they're both comfortably in the top five. Does that mean I hate Israel? No. Does it mean I hate Egypt? No. But what it does bring about is, why are we giving so much of our money to two foreign countries that quite frankly don't care about us one way or another? What so-called peace are we providing? The U.S. government is so meddled in so many countries under the guise of our empire, we don't even know who the good guys are most of the time. Or the good guys are now the bad guys because we, knifed one of them, figuratively speaking. Enjoy what we're seeing, ladies and gentlemen. Make the most of it. My hope is we can have something like this happen in Texas, and perhaps it'll inspire somebody here right in the local level, right? What is our government spending money on? What are they doing with those taxpayer funds? What are they doing with the money that they've extracted from we the people? What are they investing in? What are they spending on? Who's benefiting and why? I mean, I'm not going to accuse anybody of breaking the law per se because I don't know. And I'm sure there's a convenient workaround or loophole that they'll take advantage of, even if I should find a law that's applicable. I mean, after all, they have very good lawyers and they're very smart people, and I am neither. Pay attention, ladies and gentlemen. It's not over. The hits keep on coming, and the more joy that we see coming out of D.C., the more hopefully we could inspire somebody in Austin to do the same thing. Enjoy it. Enjoy the madness. With that, this has been According to Callus, and I will see you on the other side.
TexianPride.com is the destination for Texans who want to show off their love for Texas. We don't settle for mediocre. Our shirts are made from 100% high-quality athletic cotton. They're cool, comfortable, and designed to fit and flatter any body type. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Visit TexianPride.com for your next stylish Texas tee.